Hey everyone, Zach here from Pro Sax Tips. Glad to be here with you. So today's going to be on preparing for an audition. And I do this with 3 levels of preparation, or 3 tiers. The first tier is working on the notes, on the rhythms, the articulations, and tone matching. Obviously you want to go and look at the key signature and look at all the accidentals written into the piece, and make sure you have all the fingerings correct for those. After we work on notes, then you want to go and look at the rhythms and make sure that there aren't any rhythms in there that you haven't seen before, or you're not quite sure, or just need to figure it out. And then we go into the articulations. Are there accents? And what you want to do is just make sure that mentally go through the rhythm in your head, just to make sure you have everything figured out before you really dive into it. And then the last thing is tone matching. And to me, that's going from the beginning of a phrase to the end of a phrase without any notes jumping out or sounding sour. And you go to each phrase of that. So for example, on this piece that I have been playing is the Second Sonata by Handel. It's a Marcel Mule transcription. So the first phrase, I'm going to just play it one volume and make sure all the notes are clear and sound well. Give me everything nice and even and as clear tone as possible. And then the next thing, destination points. This tells us where the ending of the musical phrase is. So I like to circle the last pitch of a phrase, and that's going to help me guide where I'm going throughout this whole thing. So for example, so I know I'm going all the way through that to the concert F. And then you can have dynamics to that. So for example, I'll play the same passage again, but this time I'm going to have a piano crescendo to forte throughout that whole musical phrase. I know where I want to go. I want to start piano, and I know where the end of the phrase is, and I want at the end of the phrase, I want that to be the climax of that musical phrase, so that's where I'm going through. So that one was starting at piano, crescendoing to about the middle of that musical phrase, which is a high concert C, and then it goes all the way down, and I kind of do a decrescendo down to that concert F, and I'll do that again. So you go through the whole piece, marking the end of the musical phrase, your destination point, where you're going to, and you put in dynamics from, I put it at the beginning of the phrase, and I mark what's happening between the beginning and the end of the phrase, and then I put the final dynamic marking at the end of the phrase. So that would be the second tier, just making sure all your musical ideas dynamically fit within what you would want the piece to sound. So then we get to third tier. Notes are squared away, so are the articulations and the rhythms, and tone matching from beginning to end with dynamics, making sure nothing really pops out that shouldn't unless it's meant to, and just a complete control over the whole piece. That's the goal, complete control over what you're performing. So there's putting it all together. Notes, rhythm, articulation, tone matching, and destination points. So you know where you're going from beginning to end of each phrase. Then second tier, we add in our dynamics. So we know musically how we want each musical phrase to flow from the beginning of the piece to the end of the piece. And then third tier, adding all the ornamentations, trills, mordents, grace notes, and all that musicality, vibrato. So I hope that was helpful. Any questions, please post them below. If you want to know when my next video is coming out, please click on the subscribe, wherever that is, down there somewhere. And the bell, if you click on that, that will let you know when my next video comes out. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.